Good morning. My name is Mike Willman. This recording is being made on Saturday, November 14th at 10 a.m. It is for Camden County College class ENG 101 DOL5. And we are going to discuss the upcoming departmental essay and outstanding quizzes and assignments, as well as what anybody else wants to discuss. We will wait to begin the interactive part of this Zoom meeting until we see who arrives in the waiting room as participants. So we're going to begin, and if more people join us as we move along through what I want to cover with you, we will try to recap at some point and bring them up to date. The most important item on the list for what we need to discuss is what is known within the college as the departmental essay exam. This is an assignment that is mandatory. It is a 45-minute timed essay. It works on these principles. At a given point in time, there are two different prompts that each English instructor is assigned for his or her class. Before the 45-minute period starts to run, students are given a choice, are told what the two prompts are, and each student has the choice of picking one or the other. I cannot tell you and will not tell you what the prompts are for this class. I can tell you what some of the other prompts are so you get a sense of what it's like. When the time period starts to run, you will want to think about, and I'll go over some of the details here, but you'll want to think about, okay, what is the point of view that I want to express with respect to this prompt? That's your thesis. You'll want to think about how you want to headline that thesis, what title you want to give it. You want to think about if there is a way you want to introduce that subject and your point of view about it before you're actually stating your thesis. That's not mandatory, but it's often very helpful in terms of doing what I like to call seducing the reader into wanting to read it. The grades are A, B, C, D, F. Those grades are reported to the English department. On a mandatory basis, they count for 10% of your grade. So if you were to not take the exam, actually you have to take the exam, but if you were to get a 0, you would be down to a possible 90% of the possible grade. You would have lost 10% of the possible total that would indicate the grade you get. So we have to administer this exam between the 23rd of November and I believe the 4th of December. So that's a relatively tight window around the Thanksgiving holiday. And we're going to attempt to do it this way. I'm going to establish a time. Let's just say it were today. So Saturday, November 14th at 10 o'clock. People will come online. I will post the two prompts, and then I will start the clock. And 45 minutes later, you will, having completed your essay, which only has to run somewhere in the vicinity of 4, 5, 6 paragraphs, depending on how you want to structure it, you will then email me, which will of course put a timestamp on it, your essay. I will grade them. Those grades get reviewed by either 1 or 2 people in the English department. So if I wanted to give you all A's just because I'm an extraordinarily generous person or too lazy to grade the papers, somebody would be overseeing that and saying, and there is a rubric, and I'll share that rubric with you. It establishes what constitutes an A-level essay as opposed to a B, as opposed to a C, whatever. Let's see. Actually, we're supposed to do this on Canvas, so you will submit it in Canvas as opposed to emailing it to me, but you will have 45 minutes from the time it starts. Let's see, blah, 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 blah. Okay. I have to fill out a form in addition to giving you a grade, which gives my evaluation of whether your essay is both organized and coherent. That I think is probably self-explanatory. And I'm going to have to check a box that you are proficient or not proficient. That sort of equates to a pass-fail standard. So proficient, remember, this is 101, so it's not so much what your point of view is, as it is how effectively and efficiently you use the English language to express it in writing. So you could basically have a fairly outrageous thesis statement, which would never make it in 102, which is all about content, but in 101, it's can you articulate a meaningful thesis statement? Can you support it? It doesn't mean that you have to win the day with your arguments in support. Do you understand punctuation? Do you understand spelling? Do you have the rudiments of syntax and grammar in terms of standard English mastered to the point where your paper will be easy to read? You will be proficient in putting your thoughts into writing. So let's see what we have here. I'll just give you, I will send you all of this, but here is the rubric for an A. The A essay demonstrates superior competence in responding to the assignment. An essay in this category, and then here are some bullet points, states or clearly implies a thesis. No, don't imply it, state it. Is developed and organized logically with clear connections between ideas. Includes ideas fully supported with clear reasons and vivid examples. Is advanced in both style and diction. Is free of basic sentence skills, errors, or phrasing problems. All right, so just to contrast that, a B essay demonstrates not superior competence, but strong competence. An essay in this category states or implies a thesis, is developed and organized proficiently, includes ideas amply supported, as opposed to fully supported, with clear reasons, examples, and details, and contains limited sentence skills, errors, or phrasing problems. So, does one mistake in grammar or syntax or punctuation or spelling doom you? No. But if we went through the rest of the rubrics, you would see what the point is. All right, so we are in what is known as the A category, which is just has nothing to do with grading, but there are two prompts that I can give you. Actually, there are four. We are in the AB category, so we will have 4 different prompts that I can offer you. So I'm going to go to the C category to give you an example of what you won't be writing about, but what you will be writing about in a practice departmental essay just for me. And we will time this. I will send you a note saying that on a certain day, I want you to basically, I'll start the clock. So let's pretend it was today, pretend it were today. So I would say at 10 o'clock on Saturday the 14th, look in your email, you'll find a prompt from me, or look on Canvas. I'll put it in Canvas as an assignment. And 45 minutes later, you will have submitted your essay. Does that mean that at 46 minutes you fail? No. That means at 1 hour, you do fail. So there's a little latitude, a little wiggle room from my point of view in terms of a few minutes, but not like more than 5 minutes. Everybody has to be basically subscribing to the same set of rules. So some of these topics are, I think, pretty easy to understand. That doesn't mean you necessarily write them well, but in the C category, which is not our class, one of the prompts is write an essay with a title, in which you explain the following quotation from James Joyce's short story, The Dead, and Joyce's perspective on life and death. Support your explanation with well-developed examples. These examples may be personal or general. So if your prompt makes you think, oh, that's like something that happened in my life or the life of somebody I know, or something that happened in my family or in other groups of people with which you're familiar personally, that's fine. That's good. So we need examples here. So let's pretend we were talking about abortion and you're opposed to abortion because you believe it's murder. And you could say, I have a friend who decided to have her baby and he turned out to be just, the greatest kid in the world and blah, blah, blah. And if she had decided not to carry that baby to term, the world would have, not had whatever, so on and so on. So that kind of thing is not just acceptable, it's actually very helpful and persuasive with respect to the rubric. In that C category, a second prompt reads like this. A recent 2020 program, that's a TV program, focused on a compelling change in organized sports. All children should receive trophies and awards despite the fact that they are not the winner of the competition or the best performer. The theory behind this is that everyone deserves something for simply joining in and then just showing up. This just show up and reward me attitude is also infiltrating the classroom, where some students expect a passing grade for simply attending class. Do you agree with this view? Be sure to cite specific examples to support your view. I think that's relatively easy. And if I personally were faced with the choice between those two subtopics, I would take the, everybody gets an award, everybody passes, everybody whatever one. But, I didn't read you the Joyce quote, I read you the prompt. The Joyce quote was, better to pass boldly into that other world in the full glory of some passion than fade and wither dismally with age. I would look at that and say, I think that means do something. Try to do something that matters as opposed to just what happened to Joe. Oh, I guess he died. When? I don't know. Could have been a couple of years ago. And there's nothing to remember Joe by. He faded and withered dismally with age. So to me, the second topic would be more in line with the personal experiences I would expect you to have. I'm sure some of you have played organized sports. I don't know whether you got participation trophies. I don't know what your attitude is toward class. If you feel that you can just show up for this class, so to speak, and you should get, you should pass, you should get a good grade, that wouldn't be consistent with my point of view. But here is the point. It is not the point of view that you express in your thesis. It's how you express it. So this is not a matter of saying what you think the person grading your essay wants to hear substantively. It's how well do you express it? Are you efficient? Are you effective in how you use the language? Do you make a lot of dumb errors? Do you not edit what you do? Do you have no idea what spelling is? Do you not know that a period comes at the end of a declarative sentence? Do you not know how to handle a dependent clause in a sentence? Although Mike Willman thinks he's the greatest teacher in the world, comma, he actually is pathetic. That was a dependent clause. The although clause could not stand by itself. So we've been over this kind of stuff and we've dealt with it in some quizzes, but that's kind of where we are. So let's see what else I can tell you about the departmental essay. Okay, I think that in terms of this call, that's where we are. I also wanted to give you an opportunity to ask questions about the latest assignment, which is due on the 20th, which would be next Friday, a week from yesterday. And it's an essay where you get to, accompanied by a topic outline and a title and a clear thesis, which you underline. But it's a small group of people, thoughtful people, could change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. And what you're asked to do is to suggest what changes you would make if you had the magic wand, if you were in charge of this country, if you were in charge of the United States, what would you do? You could say something like, well, I'd make sure there was, free ice cream for everybody. That's the old chicken in every pot argument from the post-Depression era. You could say I would implement restrictions that would, reverse climate change. You could say anything. You could say I would take these steps to eliminate what I see as systemic racism, or you could say I don't think there is systemic racism, and I would somehow promote that notion this way. Again, it is not the point of view, it's how well you express it. I can't emphasize enough that in the departmental essay and in these assignments that we're doing in this class, in 101, it is how you say it. It is not what you say. This is not an invitation to be outrageous and say that, Attila the Hun and Adolf Hitler were the two greatest people in the history of the world. You might say that, and I suppose in certain senses you could make that argument. Let's just suppose that's an outrageous thing to say. You could still say it. That is not the point. The point is, how well could you express it? What examples would you use to support that? Do they have to be examples that are totally persuasive? Do they have to be examples that take into account other points of view? In 101, they do not. They need to be persuasive. But if you were saying Hitler was the greatest guy in the history of the world, in 102, you would have to say, but there are some people who don't think that, and here's why. So he was responsible for the, murder of 6 million Jews in concentration camps. That's probably not consistent with being the greatest guy in the history of the world. So the whole back and forth, do you have all the points of view, matters in 102, your next semester, your next English class, not in 101. So as I said, it's not an invitation to be outrageous, but I do want you, especially with respect to the departmental essay, not worry about how this is just your point of view. That's fine, that's good. Personal examples in your point of view are fine. You don't have to have the universal perspective, the expansive point of view. We also had another quiz. The quiz which I sent you is, I think I mislabeled it as quiz 10. It was really quiz, I think 7. But it was meant to amuse you. So for the most part, it is words used twice in different ways. So just to use an example, the first statement is the bandage was blank around the blank. That answer is wound or wound. So the bandage was wound around the wound, the injury, the whatever. Spelled the same way, pronounced differently. So in essence, when you look at it, the same word, but not really the same word in terms of meaning or pronunciation. I'll give you the second one too, since you're on the call. The farm was used to blank blank. A little harder to figure out, but the answer is the farm was used to produce, to create, to make produce, fruits, vegetables, whatever. P-R-O-D-U-C-E, same spelling, different pronunciation, produce and produce, all right? So you get the idea there. The last couple, 22 to 25 are different. So I'll give you a head start on that. 22 says, there is no blank in blank plant, nor blank in blank burger. So if you think about it, there is no egg in eggplant, nor ham in hamburger. So again, these are little word plays. They're meant to amuse you, give you a little sort of break on thinking as we get further into the semester where things start to pile up. Let's go back to quiz 6. Most of you did well on this, but the first example was a sign which read, dead people's things for sale. All right, so that is a little harsh in terms of the wording, but the idea was you were supposed to see that people's was a possessive term. So you needed an apostrophe before the S. All right, so people is a group of individuals, but it can be a possessive. So the People's Forum or whatever. So that was quiz 6. which most of you, as I said, did well on. It concerns me that some of you have not done these things. I don't know how to get you to do the work if you don't want to or are oblivious. Let's go back to quiz 5. A lot of you owe me the answer sheet on quiz 5. You understand the concept here. I give you the quiz, you take it, you send it in. You put your answers in Canvas, or you send them to me by email. I send you the answer sheet. You look at your answers. This is what we would do in class if we were in a face-to-face class. So again, the first example, all right, the instructions: identify what part of the sentence is missing and needs to be added to make the fragment into a sentence. Write a complete sentence using the words provided in the order in which they are provided, 2 points each. So the first fragment was 2 young lovers at sunset. That could be the subject of a sentence, lovers doing something, or it could be an object. So in the answer sheet, it gives you this suggestion: 2 young lovers at sunset walked hand in hand on the beach. So lovers walked. Now I have a subject and a verb. I have other information, you know, where they were walking, how they were walking. There were 2 lovers, they were young. Those are the adjectives. So the answer, in addition to the suggested change, would be that you needed to add a verb. So lovers walked, or are walking, or whatever. So I think that will do it for those most recent, the 2 most recent quizzes and the recent assignment. What else do I need to cover with you? Let me repeat that you're certainly invited, and I'm actually most appreciative of those of you who've taken me up on this, to have a private conference call, Zoom call, whatever we want to call these things, to talk about whatever's on your mind. In some cases, you wanted to talk about things you've written. In other cases, it doesn't matter. If you want to do that, just send me a note, give me a call. You have my phone number, you have my school email, jwillman@faculty.camdencc.edu. You have my personal business email, michaelwillman@wmsh.com. The only difference is that I look at my business email all the time, all day long. I probably look at my school email maybe twice a day, okay? So whatever you need, I will try to supply. My goal continues to be that you will all be rewarded for either your excellent work or your excellent effort, or both, with a good grade. To be in the position to be rewarded that way, you have to do the work. If you are missing a lot of stuff, in the absence of some compelling reason, you know, you were ill, something extraordinarily challenging happened in your life or in your family's life, I am happy to acknowledge any of those things and bend over backward to give you extensions or whatever is needed so you can do the work. But ultimately, you have to do the work. There's no way that I can see my way clear to rewarding you for your existence. If you try, I'm on your side. If you don't try, I'm not against you, but I'm not in a position to make a favorable evaluation. So I want you to look forward to getting a note from me about when we're going to do the practice. That is just for me to see how you do, how you respond to the time constraint. The hardest part of this is not the prompt. The hardest part of this is to discipline yourself to realize you have 45 minutes. I would use the time this way. I would take at least 5 minutes to think about and maybe make some notes, literally make some notes about what you want to say in response to the prompt. Having done that, then I think you probably want to you want to organize those thoughts into what is essentially a short outline. And then you want to write. Don't edit. This is my point of view. Don't edit as you write. Don't say, oh, I misspelled that word, or respond to the little red line in Word that says it's a misspelling. Write it, finish it. Then go back and change all of the things that are the little errors, punctuation, spelling, all of that. If you get one of those green prompts that suggests you have sort of butchered the syntax, If you can figure out how to change it, change it. Then when you've done that, you're now at an acceptable level. Then go and reorganize. If you think, oh, this point is not as important as that one, they're not equal, I want to say this first, whatever it is, but make sure you have an acceptable document. So write for 20 minutes, think for 5, write for 20, that leaves you with 20 minutes left. Edit it, clean it up for 5, and then reorganize or get it to from your initial draft to your final form. And that would be a way to use the time. Do you have to do that? No. If you're so skilled that you can just knock it out, knock it out. But if you're worried about the time limit, it's not too hard to write well. It is much harder to write well, to write efficiently and effectively, and also do it quickly. And I think that presents a mental stumbling block for some people. It's not a long essay, 5 or 6 paragraphs. This is the classic high school 5-paragraph essay. Intro, thesis, 1, 2, 3 points in support, a closing, which is often just kind of a restatement of the thesis. So I don't want you to think of this as a daunting task because it is timed. It's just the way it is. You all can do this. There's nobody in this class that can't do this. So we're going to get through this, but you got to do it. You got to do the work. All right. That's basically all I have to tell you. If you want to have individual follow-ups, individual calls to talk about work you've submitted or anything else, or concerns about the departmental essay, about anything that has to do with this class, just let me know. I will set it up. I've set it up for a number of you. I'm just happy to set it up for every one of you. All right. That's it. I would always want to close by reminding you to stay well and be safe. All right. Thanks.